I'm refusing to go on my family's vacation the way they want me to, because my sister is demanding I babysit her 3 boys again. I'm 23 years old, and last summer's mountain trip was an absolute nightmare. I shared a cramped loft with 3 rowdy kids while my sister got her own private cabin. I spent the entire week as an unpaid nanny. This year, I'm driving myself and paying my own way. And my family is completely losing their minds over it. Before I go any further, drop a comment right now and tell me, where are you watching from? And have you ever been the family's free babysitter? Let me know, because you're going to want to hear how this all played out. Last summer was supposed to be this great family bonding experience. My parents had booked cabins at this mountain resort, one of those places with gondola rides and hiking trails everywhere. They covered my share of the costs, so I rode up with them in their car. Big mistake. The moment we arrived and I saw the sleeping arrangements, I knew something was wrong. My sister and her husband got this beautiful private cabin with a king bed and a mountain view. Meanwhile, I was assigned to share a tiny loft space with her 3 7-year-old triplet boys. And when I say cramped, I mean the ceiling was so low I could barely stand up straight. 3 small beds were shoved in there like we were packing sardines. The kids started jumping on the beds before I'd even brought my suitcase upstairs. My sister just laughed as she walked away with her husband toward their romantic cabin. You don't mind, right? The boys will love having their uncle there. My mom chimed in from behind me. It's just for 1 week. You're so good with kids. I should have said something right then. But I didn't know what was coming next. That first night, those boys would not settle down. It was past 11:30 and they were still bouncing off the walls, literally jumping from bed to bed. I kept telling them to sleep, but they didn't listen to a word I said. Through the thin cabin walls, I could hear my sister's voice drifting over from her cabin. This is perfect. We finally get a real vacation. That's when it hit me like a punch to the gut. I wasn't here as family. I was here as hired help. Except I wasn't even getting paid. The next morning, everyone gathered for breakfast at the resort's main lodge. My parents were all smiles, talking about the week's activities. I mentioned wanting to visit the Railroad Heritage Museum in town. I'm a train enthusiast, always have been, and there were some hiking trails I'd researched. My sister was nodding along, acting interested. Then she dropped the bomb. That sounds great. But hey, could you watch the boys this morning while I get a spa treatment? Just for an hour. I really need this. She gave me that pleading look she's perfected over the years. I hesitated. My mom jumped in. Oh honey, just help out a little. We're all on vacation together. What was I supposed to say? I agreed. 1 hour. 4 hours later, I was still at the resort pool with 3 boys who wouldn't stop splashing and screaming. The sun was beating down, and I was covered in chlorine and sunscreen that wasn't even mine. My phone kept buzzing with notifications about those hiking trails, mocking me with pictures of views I wasn't going to see. I texted my sister. Where are you? She responded like it was no big deal. Getting my nails done too. You're doing great. Be back soon. I watched other people my age walking past with backpacks and hiking boots, heading out to actually enjoy their vacation. Meanwhile, I was trapped. When my sister finally showed up at 3 in the afternoon, completely relaxed with fresh manicure and pedicure, she had the audacity to hug me and say, "Thanks so much. Tomorrow can you watch them in the morning too?" We booked a couple's hike. That's when I knew. This wasn't just today. This was the entire week. And I was right. Day after day, the same pattern. My sister and her husband would disappear for couple time. My parents would go off to do resort activities, always with some excuse about why they couldn't take the kids. And I was stuck on babysitting duty. 8 hours a day, sometimes more. Watching them at the pool, at the resort playground, in the cabin when they wouldn't nap. I got to do exactly 0 of the things I wanted to do. No museum. No hiking. No photography at the overlook points I'd researched for months. By day 5, I'd had enough. I finally put my foot down at dinner. We're going to that railroad museum tomorrow. I don't care if the kids find it boring. It's my turn. Everyone went quiet. You could hear forks scraping plates. My dad cleared his throat. Fine. But don't expect us to stay long. That one sentence should have warned me what was coming. The next morning, we all piled into cars and drove to the museum. I was actually excited for the first time all week. This place had vintage train cars from the 1800s, beautifully restored locomotives, the whole history of mountain railways. I'd been dreaming about seeing it properly. We walked through the entrance, and I could already see the exhibits glowing under the soft museum lighting. The smell of old wood and metal filled the air. This was going to be perfect. It lasted exactly 45 minutes. The boys started whining within 10 minutes. This is so boring. When can we leave? My sister sighed loudly, checking her watch every few minutes. Her arms were crossed, foot tapping on the museum floor. My mom kept giving me these pointed looks like I was being selfish. I was trying to read about a locomotive from 1887 when my dad came up behind me. The boys are getting restless. Let's wrap this up. We've been here less than an hour, I said. That's enough, he replied. They're bored. Let's go. I looked around at all the exhibits I hadn't seen yet. Years of railway history I'd never get to learn about. We came here for you, my mom added. You should be grateful we made time for this. Grateful. I was supposed to be grateful for 45 minutes out of an entire week. We walked back to the parking lot. I was fuming but trying to stay quiet. Then I heard my sister on the phone. She thought I was ahead of her, but I'd gone back to the car to grab my water bottle. Her voice carried through the open window. Oh my God, best trip ever. We barely had to deal with the kids at all. I stood there frozen, hand on the car door handle. Best trip ever. For her. Because I'd been doing all the work. Something inside me broke in that moment. Not in a dramatic way. More like a door closing. I realized that this wasn't going to change unless I changed it. But I didn't know how yet. The week ended, and we drove home. I was squeezed in the back of my parents' car, exhausted from a vacation where I'd done nothing but work. When we got back, I made a decision. Within 2 weeks, I'd found an apartment and moved out. I told everyone it was about shortening my commute to work, but that was only partly true. The real reason was that I needed to escape the constant babysitting requests. For a few weeks, it worked. I had my own place, my own schedule, my own peace and quiet. No toys scattered on the floor. No kids jumping on furniture. Just silence and freedom. It felt incredible. But my sister wasn't done with me yet. She started calling every Friday. Always the same routine. Hey, can you come watch the boys? Tomorrow? I really need a break. I'll order pizza. And like an idiot, I kept saying yes. Not every time, but enough times that it became a pattern. I'd drive 45 minutes each way to her suburban house, spend 6 or 8 hours wrangling 3 7-year-olds, and get paid in pizza. Maybe $20 worth. Then I'd drive home exhausted, my whole weekend shot. This went on for months. I kept telling myself I'd say no next time. But then she'd call with that pleading voice, talking about how hard it is being a mom to triplets, and I'd cave. My apartment that felt like freedom started feeling like just a place I slept between babysitting shifts. Then came the phone call that changed everything. It was May, a Thursday evening. My mom called, all excited. Guess what? We're booking the mountain resort again for June. Same place, same setup. We're so excited to go back. My stomach dropped. Not again. We'll save you a seat in the car, she continued. Should we leave around 9 or 10? This time, I didn't hesitate. I'm driving myself this year. And I'm getting my own room. Silence on the other end of the line. Then, what? Why would you do that? My mom's voice had shifted from excited to confused. Because I want my own space, I said simply. But we're paying for you, my dad's voice came through. He was on speakerphone. That's going to be so expensive. Why waste the money? It's not a waste, I replied. I have a good job. I can afford it. More silence. Then my dad said, this is about last year, isn't it? I could hear the defensiveness creeping into his voice. Yes, I said. It is. I spent the entire week babysitting. I got to do one thing I wanted, and even that was cut short. I'm not doing that again. My mom's voice got that edge it gets when she's trying to guilt trip me. We thought you enjoyed spending time with the boys. I told you I didn't. Multiple times. You didn't listen. I was standing in my kitchen, looking out the window at the parking lot below. My hand was gripping my coffee mug so tight I thought it might crack. They tried a few more angles, the expense, the inconvenience, how it would look to the family, but I held firm. The call ended with my mom saying she needed time to process this. I knew what was coming next. 1 hour later, my phone rang again. My sister's name lit up the screen. I considered not answering, but I knew she'd just keep calling. I picked up. And she immediately started screaming. What the hell is wrong with you? You're being so selfish. Her voice was so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. How is wanting my own room selfish? I asked. Because you're ruining this whole vacation for me. What am I supposed to do with 3 boys all week? Be a parent to them? I suggested. That made it worse. That's not fair, she yelled. You're young and single, you have time to help me. I felt my jaw clench. That doesn't make it my responsibility. She kept going, getting more worked up. I'm drowning over here. Being a mom to triplets is hard. The least you could do is help family. I stayed quiet, letting her rant. Then she said something that should have been a red flag, but I was too angry to catch it. You clearly have no life anyway, so the least you could do is help me. Those words hung in the air. No life. That's what she thought of me. Wow, I said quietly. Is that really what you think? She didn't back down. I mean, what else are you doing with your weekends? Then she hung up on me. I stood there in my apartment, handshaking as I held my phone. That's when I decided I needed to do something. But I wasn't going to confront her directly. I had a better idea. Late that night, I sat at my computer. I created a new email address, completely anonymous. Then I wrote one single line. Check your Venmo history for babysitting payments. Ask your wife where that money actually went. I addressed it to my brother-in-law. My finger hovered over the send button. This was going to open a door I couldn't close. But something my sister said had been bothering me. If she really thought I had no life and should be helping her, why was she always so secretive about money? I hit send. It was 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. For 2 days, nothing happened. I went to work, came home, lived my normal life. I started to think maybe the email hadn't worked. Maybe my brother-in-law had deleted it as spam. But Thursday afternoon, my phone rang. His name appeared on screen. My heart started pounding. Hello? My voice came out steadier than I felt. We need to talk. Right now. His voice was ice cold. Not angry cold. Controlled cold. The kind of cold that meant he'd already done the math and didn't like the answer. What's going on? I asked, though I knew exactly what was going on. Did you know, he said slowly, that I've been sending your sister $150 every single time you babysat? I stopped walking. I was halfway across my apartment and just froze. What? No, she never, he cut me off. $3,300. Over 18 months. 22 separate occasions. She told me she was paying you. My mind was racing. She's never given me anything except pizza money. Maybe $20 at a time. The silence on his end was heavy. Then, that lying piece of, he stopped himself. Took a breath. Meet me at my office downtown. Tonight, 7 p.m. Bring any records you have. Dates you babysat, times, anything. We're building a case. Then he hung up. I stood there, phone still pressed to my ear, trying to process what I'd just learned. My sister had been stealing from me. For over a year. That evening, I walked into a downtown office building. The lobby was mostly empty, just a security guard who checked my ID and directed me to the elevators. 14th floor. The doors opened to a dark office space, all the cubicles empty except for one conference room at the end with lights on. My brother-in-law was sitting there, laptop open, papers spread across the table. He looked up when I walked in. Close the door. I did. The sound of it clicking shut felt final. Sit down, he said. We have work to do. For the next 2 hours, we went through everything. He showed me his Venmo history, every payment lined up perfectly. Then he pulled up my sister's credit card statements. He's a corporate auditor, so he has access to their joint accounts. Every time he sent her that money, she spent it within 24 hours. Spas. Shopping. Brunch with friends. While I was at their house watching their kids. She's been stealing from both of us, he said quietly. But it got worse. He asked me to document every time I'd babysat. We built a spreadsheet together. Dates, times, how long I stayed. He cross-referenced with my social media check-ins. Those posts where I'd tagged myself at their house, trying to be a good uncle showing the kids playing outside. We counted it all up. 340 hours over 18 months. At market rate for childcare in our area, $20 an hour, that was $6,800 I should have been paid. Plus the $3,300 she'd stolen. Total, $10,100. He turned the laptop screen toward me. Selby 47 glowed with that number. $10,100. This is what she owes you, he said. And I'm going to make sure you get it. I stared at that number, unable to speak. But we're going to do this right, he continued. We're going to present this to the whole family. Public accountability. I'm setting up a dinner meeting. Private dining room at that steakhouse downtown. Everyone will be there. Your parents, your sister, you, me. And nobody's going to know what it's about until I present the evidence. What if she doesn't come? I asked. He smiled grimly. Oh, she'll come. She thinks she's about to convince you to ride in your parents' car for the vacation. She has no idea what's waiting for her. We spent the next week preparing. He built a full presentation, complete with slides and charts. Every financial detail documented. Every hour I'd worked. Every lie she'd told. It looked like a corporate fraud investigation. Because that's exactly what it was. The night before the dinner, my sister texted me. Can't wait for tomorrow's meeting. I'm hoping we can all come to an agreement about the vacation. Family should stick together, right? I showed the text to my brother-in-law. He replied with one word, perfect. Saturday evening arrived. The steakhouse was one of those expensive places with leather chairs and dim lighting. We were led to a private dining room in the back. Wood paneling on the walls, a big screen for presentations, table set for 5 people. My sister arrived first with my brother-in-law, all smiles and chatty. She thought this was going to be about vacation planning. My parents came next, looking confused but going along with it. Everyone settled into their seats. Menus were ignored. Water glasses filled. My brother-in-law stood up, laptop connected to the screen. Thank you all for coming. I've discovered something important that this family needs to address. He clicked his remote. The screen lit up with one slide, financial audit, family babysitting fraud investigation. My sister's smile disappeared instantly. Her face went from cheerful to pale in seconds. Honey, what is this? She asked nervously. I'm not done, he said calmly. Click. Next slide. A timeline of Venmo payments. Every date, every amount, all $150 each. 22 transactions highlighted in yellow. For the past 18 months, he said, voice steady and professional, I have sent my wife $150 every time her brother watched our children. That's $3,300 total. My mom's hand went to her mouth. Wait, you were paying him, she whispered. I thought I was, he replied. But I wasn't. Click. Next slide. My sister's spending history matched up with payment dates. Spa visits, boutique shopping, restaurant bills with friends. All within 24 hours of receiving the money. My dad leaned forward, squinting at the numbers like an accountant checking for errors. There weren't any. She told me she was paying you, my brother-in-law continued, looking at me. She told me you two had an arrangement. My sister tried to interrupt. I can explain, he held up a hand. You'll get your turn. Click. A spreadsheet appeared. My babysitting hours, documented and cross-referenced. 340 hours over 18 months. The market rate calculation showed right there. At $20 per hour, that's $6,800 I should have been paid. Add the $3,300 she stole. Total at the bottom, highlighted in red, $10,100. The room was completely silent except for someone's ice melting in their water glass. Last year's mountain vacation, my brother-in-law said, looking at my dad. 7 days. Your son spent approximately 8 hours a day watching our children. That's 56 hours. My dad, unable to help himself, did the mental math. At $20 per hour, that's... His voice trailed off. $1,120, my brother-in-law finished. Did anyone pay him? Nobody answered. No. Instead, he was told he was there for free. Meanwhile, my wife and I had our own cabin. Our own time. Your son worked a full-time job that week. Unpaid. Click. A photo appeared on screen. It was from last summer, one my mom had posted on social media. Me, surrounded by 3 kids at the pool, looking exhausted and sunburned. My sister in the background, cocktail in hand, laughing with my mom. Nobody had to say anything. The image spoke for itself. My brother-in-law let everyone stare at it for 10 full seconds. Then he clicked it off. This ends today. My sister started crying. Not the manipulative crying she usually does. Real, ugly crying. I'm drowning as a mom, she sobbed. I deserve some money for myself. My brother-in-law's voice went ice cold. Then you ask me for it. You don't steal from your brother and lie to your husband. My mom tried to defend. We didn't know she was taking money, he turned on her. But you did know he was babysitting for free. You told him to keep the peace and help out. You let your daughter exploit your son. The server cracked the door open, saw the tension, and quickly backed out. My dad sat back heavily in his chair, looking sick. We thought he enjoyed it. I spoke for the first time since sitting down. I told you I didn't. Multiple times. You didn't listen. My sister was still sobbing, mascara running down her face. She looked at our parents, waiting for them to defend her. They didn't. That's when she knew she'd lost. My brother-in-law stood up, towering over the table. His voice never rose, staying perfectly controlled. Here are my terms. They are non-negotiable. And if you violate a single one, I'm filing for separation. That got everyone's attention. My sister's head snapped up. First, you will withdraw $10,100 from your personal savings and give it to your brother. You have until Monday. I checked your account this morning. You have $11,400. All of it goes to him. I don't, she started. Yes, you do, he cut her off. Second, you will begin therapy. Individual therapy for entitlement issues. I've already contacted 3 therapists. You have appointments scheduled for this week. You will attend all of them. My sister looked desperately at my parents. Are you going to let him? My dad spoke quietly. He's right. You're going to pay your brother. Every cent. My mom nodded, tears streaming down her face. We failed you, she said to me. We put your sister's comfort over your dignity. My brother-in-law continued. Third, we are hiring a professional babysitter. I will manage all payments and scheduling. You will not ask your brother for childcare again. Fourth, you will write a formal apology letter. I will review it before you deliver it. Fifth, if you violate any of these terms, I file for separation immediately. Do you understand? My sister was shaking, crying into her napkin. She managed to nod. The check arrived at the table. No one touched it. My brother-in-law paid and we all left in silence. 2 days later, Monday afternoon, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find my sister standing there with my brother-in-law behind her. She looked like she'd been crying for days. In her hands was a thick manila envelope. She couldn't meet my eyes. Give him the envelope, my brother-in-law said. She held it out. I took it. Heavy. Very heavy. Now apologize, he instructed. And look at him when you do it. She tried to speak while staring at the floor. I'm sorry for what? Eyes up, he said firmly. She raised her head, tears falling. I'm sorry, she said, voice breaking. I was wrong. I shouldn't have used you or stolen from you. I'm really, really sorry. I studied her face. She meant it. Or at least, she was scared enough to sound like she meant it. I accept your apology, I said. They left without another word. I closed the door and opened the envelope. Stack after stack of $100 bills. More money than I'd ever held at once. $10,100, exactly. The next day, my parents called. Both on the phone, voices humble and quiet. We owe you an apology, my dad said. A big one. My mom's voice was thick with tears. We failed you as parents. We kept telling ourselves it wasn't that bad. But seeing that presentation, we were horrified by what we'd allowed to happen. I sat at my kitchen table, phone on speaker, not saying anything. Letting them talk. We put your sister's needs above yours because she complained louder, my dad continued. We told you to keep the peace. That was wrong. I tried to tell you, I said finally. So many times. We know, my mom said. We weren't listening. We're listening now. They told me the June trip was still on, but completely on my terms. Zero expectations. No pressure. I could do exactly what I wanted. I appreciate that, I said. But I'm still getting my own room at a different lodge. We wouldn't have it any other way, my dad replied. You've earned that. Before hanging up, my mom said one more thing. We told your sister that you're off limits now. Permanently. No babysitting. No guilt trips. No assumptions. If she violates that, she'll lose us too. June arrived. I packed my car with my own gear, my own schedule, no one else's expectations. I drove up to the mountains alone, windows down, music playing whatever I wanted. I arrived 2 hours after the rest of the family. They texted asking when I was coming. I replied that I'd see them for dinner. No guilt trip in response. Just sounds good. It felt surreal. I checked into the Pinecrest Lodge, 8 miles from where my family was staying. King bed, mountain view, complete silence. No children. No chaos. Just peace. Comment below and tell me, what would you have done in my situation? Would you have confronted your family sooner, or handled it the same way? That afternoon, I went hiking. The Alpine Ridge Trail I'd wanted to do last year. It was perfect. Pine trees towering overhead, mountain air crisp and clean, views that stretched for miles. I took photos without anyone complaining about being bored. I ate lunch at the summit without anyone asking me to watch their kids. I stayed up there for 4 hours. No one called me. No one needed me. It was everything I'd wanted last year. Dinner that evening was at the resort's main restaurant. Everyone was on their best behavior. My sister barely spoke, keeping her eyes on her plate. My brother-in-law handled the kids when they got restless. My parents were overly cheerful, trying too hard to make everything seem normal. I ate my meal in peace, knowing I could leave whenever I wanted. This was already infinitely better than last year. The next day, we met at the gondola base station. The plan was to ride up to the summit together as a family activity. I was standing in line when my sister approached me. She looked nervous. Hey, can you just watch them while I run to the... She didn't even finish. My brother-in-law appeared between us. No. Just that one word. Firm, final. She tried again. I just need to, I said no, he repeated. I've got them. I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. My sister looked at my parents, clearly hoping they'd back her up. My dad spoke up. Your husband has them handled. Leave your brother alone. We rode the gondola in awkward silence. At the summit, I took photos of the mountain peaks while my sister struggled with 3 boys who wanted to climb on everything. I didn't help. I didn't feel guilty. I just enjoyed the view. The old me would have jumped in to assist. The new me understood that her kids were her responsibility. That afternoon, I went to the Railroad Museum. Alone. Completely, blissfully alone. Walking through those doors felt like vindication. The soft lighting, the smell of old wood and preserved metal, the beautiful vintage train cars all around me. This time, no one was rushing me. No kids were whining. No sister was sighing and checking her watch. I spent 3 full hours there. I read every plaque. I talked with the museum guide about locomotive history. I took photos of my favorite exhibits. When I finally left at 4:30, completely satisfied, I checked my phone. One text from my mom. "Hope you're having a wonderful time. See you at dinner." That was it. No emergency. No guilt trip. Just support. The next evening, something happened that tested the new boundaries. I'd gone back to my lodge after a day of hiking to shower and change before dinner. I was walking down the hallway to my room when I heard a voice. "There you are." My sister was standing by my door. She'd somehow figured out which lodge I was staying at. "We need to talk," she said, stepping toward me. I stopped walking. "How did you find me?" I asked. She waved that away. I asked around. "Look, this whole thing, you keeping separate from us, it's ruining my vacation." "How?" I asked. "By not being your free babysitter?" Her face flushed. "I'm stuck with the kids constantly. This was supposed to be relaxing." I felt that old familiar anger rising, but I kept my voice level. "That's called being a parent. Maybe you should have thought about that before having 3 kids." She stepped closer, trying to corner me against the wall. "Hey, I'm trying to talk to you, I don't care," I said clearly. "Get out of my way." I moved past her toward the elevator. She followed. "You can't just walk away from me." "Watch me," I replied. The elevator doors opened. I got in. She tried to follow. I pressed the close button and watched her face as the doors shut between us. Back in my room, I texted my brother-in-law. "Your wife just ambushed me at my lodge. She's been asking around to find where I'm staying. Might want to handle that." He replied within seconds. "On it. So sorry. Won't happen again." That night at dinner, I arrived first and immediately told everyone what happened. My brother-in-law was furious. "You what?" he said to my sister. "I just wanted to talk to him," she protested. My dad's face was stern. "You tracked down his hotel? That's completely inappropriate." "Oh come on," she said, "that's dramatic." My mom cut her off. "How did you even find out where he was staying?" My sister looked caught. I called a few lodges and asked." My brother-in-law stood up. "Get up. You're sitting somewhere else until you can act like an adult." He pointed to a small table in the corner. My sister's face went bright red. She looked at my parents for support. They both looked away. She stood up and walked to the other table, shoulders hunched in humiliation. After she left, my dad raised his water glass. To new boundaries. And to actually listening to each other. We clinked glasses. My mom squeezed my hand. "We're proud of you," she said quietly. "For standing up for yourself." For the first time in my life, I felt like an equal member of this family instead of the help. The rest of the vacation was perfect. I did exactly what I wanted. Morning photography sessions. Whitewater rafting. Exploring local artisan shops. Every evening I'd meet up with the family for dinner, but on my terms. Everyone was respectful. The old dynamics were dead. On the last day, we had a goodbye breakfast. My sister was civil but distant. She'd learned her lesson. My brother-in-law thanked me quietly. "Standing up for yourself probably saved my marriage," he said. I was building resentment without knowing why. Now we're in therapy and actually dealing with our issues. I drove home that Sunday evening, windows down, music loud. Last year, I'd been cramped in my parents' car, exhausted from a week of unpaid labor, having done nothing I wanted. This year, I'd hiked, explored, rafted, and finally visited that museum properly. I'd had an actual vacation. My phone buzzed with a text. "Thanks for giving us all a wake-up call. Things are really changing. Mom." So that's how I got my family to stop treating me like free help. It took an anonymous email, $10,000 in exposed theft, a devastating presentation at a restaurant, and my brother-in-law threatening divorce. But it worked. My sister's in therapy now. My parents actually listen to me. And next month, I'm taking a solo trip to Europe. No family invited. Because I've learned something important, sometimes the only way to be treated with respect is to demand it, even when it's uncomfortable. Even when it disrupts the family peace. Even when people cry and get angry. You teach people how to treat you. And I'd been teaching my family all the wrong lessons for years. If you made it this far, drop a like and subscribe for more stories. And comment below, have you ever had to set boundaries with entitled family members? How did it go? I'd love to hear your experiences. Thanks for watching.